Hello, welcome to He's Hot but Something's Off with me, just Joey T. Back with me this week, it is David. Hi, David.
Hello. I remembered your title from what you just said.
What's the title?
I mean, I just gathered that you said
What is it? Repeat it.
He's getting off, but not with me, or something. I heard it, but something happened with the brain that you just said it, and I hadn't heard it for a while.
Are you having a stroke?
It's something off. He's off, but he's not with it.
You're the only. I've only had you as a guest. You're the only guest that's ever been on the podcast. But you've been a guest. This is like the sixth time.
Wait. Is that why it's a he's hot, but he's off? I'm off.
It's not about you.
I'm the off section. That's why you're hot. I'm the off. I'm offside. He's hot and I'm off.
The name of the podcast has
it's opposite.
nothing to do with you. We both. Well, when I say we filmed, what I mean is I made David film with me a YouTube video that is not going to be on YouTube. We're not going to actually use that footage. And the topic of that video was supposed to be an overview of all the different Atlantis cruises coming up in 2024. It was actually pretty good. The thing is, I fucked up the audio on that recording. I had two mics and they both fucked up. So like the audio is completely destroyed. So that is not going to go up. But I think in lieu of that, we can talk a little bit about some of the cruises we like and don't like coming up.
Okay, I mean, I would like them all. But let's go on. I'll follow your lead.
So we do like a quick overview. So next year we have the January cruise, which is like the big party cruise.
Yep.
That goes from Florida down to the Caribbean. They have this every year for the last several years now. It's already sold out like it usually is. And that's the big party cruise. I actually just I was in Austin this past weekend for a friend's birthday. I was talking to some people, a couple that was at the party. And then they told me they were booked for the other Caribbean cruise, which is in March. Also goes from Florida, I think, down to the Caribbean. And that's on the Virgin ship. And usually Atlantis has two Caribbean cruises early in the year. They got the big party cruise in January. All the party boys, the younger crowd, usually all go on that one. And then the people that don't really want to party, they all go on the other one. Which was the case this year, because most people don't go on multiple cruises. At least they don't go on multiple cruises within such a short time span. People that go on one will not go on the other. All the partiers, all the young boys, they're all going on to the January one, and those people are not going to go on to the one in March. So the one in March, they will still throw the parties, but the crowd will be quite different.
I don't know. I have never been on the other
Both,
Caribbean cruise.
yes.
I've only been on the first.
Correct.
So you've been on both, I know. So I can't speak to the second one.
Correct.
But I do know, like for example, there was. I mean, I think you're right. There are people who, weirdly for us, we know people who go on every cruise, or people who do the one a year. It's not like it's pretty rare to have someone do like two in a short period of time. You're right. Unless these are the ones who've done like 40 plus cruises and have partnered.
Yes, that's like a minority of people though.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the vast majority of people, if you're gonna go on a cruise in January, you're probably not gonna go on another cruise in March.
Probably, yeah, and especially with a similar region of the world.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You can understand
Caribbean cruises.
You can understand if there was two that were doing different things. Like, so we fast forward to, say, for example, the two Is it the Mediterranean? Is that the one in Europe? Is that where Mediterranean is?
Yes.
Yeah. So they have the two back-to-back cruises where literally same ship, docks on the Sunday, whatever day it is, and then they get the new lot of people for the second cruise. Yep. That I can sort of understand because it's different ports.
Correct. So this for next year they're doing something weird, because most years they have one Mediterranean cruise in Europe, like a bigger one in August, and this year in 2023 they also had a smaller luxury European cruise in July on the Oceania. So that's like kind of like a slightly specialty cruise, much smaller ship, but it's like a luxury experience. It's not like the regular ones. And then they have like the big one on Royal Caribbean in August. Next year, they still have that luxury one in July. So they're kind of running again. I don't know if it's exactly the same or the ports may or may not be different, but they still have a luxury one on a Oceania cruise line next year in July. But in August, instead of having one med cruise, they have two. It's on a Virgin ship. Each cruise is 10 days. It's on the exact same ship and they're back to back.
Yep.
So the first one, I don't remember all the ports of call, but you can go Google it. It's on the Atlantis website. But the first cruise is 10 days, and then it's going to end up in Barcelona, I think. So the gays from the first 10-day cruise will all depart that morning. And then later that same day, the second med cruise starts on the same ship. So another set of gays will load back in onto the same ship, and they go from Barcelona to London for 10 days.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, I don't think they've done that back-to-back system before.
Yeah, I guess it depends on when the booking and the cruise line's available, and it just so happens like, well, it's a Virgin ship, and it's different itineraries and easy as. So, and it's like basically right in the peak of gay European summer, right?
Yeah, it's
you can easily
August.
mix and match with another event in Europe at that time easily.
Excelsior, or for the circuit people, it'd be like Excelsior and Mykonos, or Circuit Barcelona, for example.
Yeah.
I think if you want to go Circuit Barcelona, if you take the first med cruise that ends in Barcelona, I think that puts you like right in the middle of Circuit Barcelona week.
Oh yeah, it's like a week and a half or week event or something.
Yeah, you get into like a few days past the start. You'll be there for like the main event, which is like the last weekend of Circuit Barcelona. I don't know when the water park is, but
water park's on the Tuesday, but I have no idea. Water park's on the Tuesday.
Sometimes they change it. Yeah. So yeah, so those are the 3 European cruises next year, and I'm pretty sure like I think they're probably gonna sell out the 2 med cruises on the Virgin ships that are back to back.
Yeah, well, I think they'll be pretty close to full because it's like a mid-size. It's in a 3,500, I think.
Yeah, it's a mid to large-ish size ship, the Virgin ones. I think they hold like 3,000 something people.
I think 3.5 for some reason.
Which is a really good size.
Which is random statistics that I've literally do not.
You're just
come
coming out
from
of
me because
grass.
literally. I think for some reason because it sounds right to you. Like it's definitely not 5,000.
No. All the Virgin ships are like max capacity and double occupancy is like in the 3,000 range.
Yeah.
Like I think maybe like mid to upper 3,000, which is like a nice size.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about the Virgin ships is 3 of the Atlantis cruises next year, maybe actually it's 4 cruises, 4 Atlantis cruises next year are on Virgin ships.
Well, the Australia one, the 2 Europe ones.
There's an Australia one that we'll get into. So like half or like maybe more than half of the Atlantis sailings in 2024 are on Virgin ships, which is like a big change because they haven't sailed Virgin that much in previous years.
Because it's a relatively new.
It's a very new.
It was a post-COVID.
Post-COVID, but they're supposed to launch like Virgin just by themselves, but like COVID kind of got in the way of
2020
their launch.
was their launch year.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, the great thing about the Virgin ships is that Wi-Fi is included for everyone. You don't have to pay extra for Wi-Fi, and they don't have this differentiation between free restaurants and paid restaurants. All the restaurants are included, so you don't have to like pay for a specialty restaurant, for example, and you get most, if not all, of the non-alcoholic beverages or some amount of non-alcoholic beverages for free included in your fare as well. Whereas if you go on Royal Caribbean, they won't even give you bottles of water without paying money, or like you can't even get soda, for example.
Yep.
So the way they do things is just a little different on Virgin ships. And the Virgin Voyages cruise line was started as an adult-only cruise line. So there's no like kiddie pool for kids. There's not like a playground area. It's supposed to be an adult-only cruise line.
Yep. Yeah. With that in mind, exactly. It's for, so even if it sails when Atlantis don't charter it, it's just an all adults, 18 plus.
Exactly, correct. Mm-hmm. So you're right. There is a Australian Atlantis cruise on a Virgin ship. This is going to be in early February. This is like 3 or 4 weeks before Mardi Gras in Sydney, and it's only like a 4-day or 4-night cruise. It's a short one.
4 days, yeah. I think it's like the first to second week.
Melbourne to Sydney or Sydney to Melbourne. I forgot. Exactly.
Melbourne to Sydney.
I think it's Melbourne to Sydney.
Yeah, because Melbourne goes down to Tasmania, then goes up to Sydney. Is my understanding.
Yeah, and they don't usually have a cruise for Australia, but we're talking about this one because it's kind of like a new one, and we think it's really great for the people who are like the Kiwis and the Aussies who may not have been on a Atlantis cruise, because it's a great opportunity for them to try out an Atlantis cruise without having to travel very far, like over to like Europe or to the US. And it's not a really high commitment, but it's only for 4 nights. And therefore it costs a lot less than like the regular 7-day cruises.
No, for sure. Because normally, like, I know some Americans like, oh my God, I don't have that much leave and that much, oh, it's so expensive. I'm like, us Aussies have to like fork over an arm and a leg just to get to the port in Europe or America. And of course, if it sails from the east coast of America, we have to fly like 20 hours.
Very expensive.
Plus.
Like to go to Florida, for example, for the Caribbean cruises,
Europe,
it's a trek. It's far.
And Florida are like 20 plus hours away by like the fastest flying. So we have
to connect. There's not really any directs to.
So I mean, you're gonna lose. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna lose like multiple days flying up and back for it. So and pay for the flight before the cruise even starts. So for those in the region, and like as a starter pack, as a sampler, because there have been some like local cruise lines have tried to do like a little gay cruise thing, and it's just a different production level.
Correct.
Atlantis have been doing this for like decades,
20-something years.
You kind of have the experience for it. So it's like a nice little sampler. Like you said, a little low commitment, 4 days. And because of the 4 days, it's even a lesser financial commitment too.
Correct, it's cheaper.
Easy, you want to try it. It's in it's like a Australian summer. So we're not leaving our summer to go to, say, for example, the January cruise where we're going to a quote unquote winter, even though it's Florida.
Yeah.
But we're leaving our summer for that, right? So this is like a really easy, it's on your backyard, just
low risk, low commitment, lower cost.
Nice, and it's a virgin ship actually.
It's a virgin ship. So you're on like all the virgin ships. Like the oldest ones were first sailed in like 2020. So they're all like really new ships.
Yeah,
they're all really nice ships as well.
Yeah, and no kids to freaking ruin them.
Yeah, no kids. So for any Kiwis and Aussies that are listening or who might be in the area at that time, I think that's So that's a really nice like sampler, as you will. You're people who have heard about Atlantis, but it was never convenient for them to like fly somewhere else to go on an Atlantis cruise or kind of put up that much money. They're gonna obviously try to replicate as much of an experience as possible. It's just 4 days and it's just shorter.
Because Atlantis, with all due respect, is very America-centric.
True.
America-centric.
That's true. It's
so
an American
then
company.
I think like the American guests who like want to go on, say, the Asia cruise or Europe cruise and want to go on board with the locals, it still tends to skew the majority, even it might be a small majority, it's American people.
No, it is true.
Or North American people. I don't want to,
but
the North American continent.
Yeah, it is primarily, there's not that many Canadians or Mexicans on it.
Yeah, so that's like the
US.
marketing and stuff as well. Because prior to me going on my very first cruise in 2015, where I met you, I was like, I don't know about this. Or there's no presence in Australia, for example, except for those who have already been. So only word of mouth.
Yeah, word of mouth back then for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's the 2 Caribbean ones early in the year, as well as the Australian one. Then we have the 3 in Europe. And then finally, we have the October one, which is, I think, the one, if I only had to choose one out of the whole calendar that I recommend as the most reliable one in terms of having a good time and being consistent, and also for like first timers, assuming theoretically if geography and location wasn't a factor, I would choose the October one.
I second that. For a first cruise and to get like an Atlantis experience, I feel there's more of a sense of community on that smaller boat.
True.
Because the big one in January, like you might find someone friendly from the first night, and if you don't exchange numbers, sometimes you might not see them till day 6 because
it's such a party crowd.
It's a big ship, and also the main dance floor, it's not the most conducive to finding people.
Oh my god, but the parties are just too big to like. Well, the thing is, I don't like the layout on the really big ships, and we're talking about the Royal Caribbean Oasis class ships. So that's Oasis of the Seas, Allure of the Seas, Harmony of the Seas. Those are like the common ones in that Oasis class that Atlantis sails. 2 things about that, so those are the biggest passenger cruise ships in the world. And because of the kind of funky layout they have, the nighttime parties are in the solarium, and I hate the layout of the solarium because it's like a weird shape at the front of the ship, and there's all this stuff to like trip over if you're like not completely sober, and it's like dark. They turn on the lights and everything. and it's hard to find people in the solarium.
Well, yeah, it's just, I mean, it's, firstly, you're right, it's a curve, so it's on like a curve of the ship. There's pillars in the way, there's like hot tubs in the way.
There are hot tubs in the way, there are pillars in the way, there are like random steps, suddenly there's like a ramp, then suddenly there's like a bench. It's like everything you don't want to run into. And when it's all crowded with people, you can't see all these things that are only like 1 or 2 or 3 feet off the ground, but you just see people. So you'll be walking and suddenly there'll be like something in front of you that you can't get past.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
So like what I like about the October cruise, which was like my first cruise, the parties are in the main pool deck, one central pool deck under the stars. I like dancing under the stars because I run really warm. And if you really wanted to, you could just step up to whatever, deck 14, whatever, and look down. And if you're really vigilant, you could probably try to find your friends because there's just one dance floor if they're there.
The thing is when it's a poolside party, the shape of it is much more rectangular.
Yeah, it's just one,
and it's much easier shape within which to actually like look for people.
And it's way less people. So
correct.
So it's more sense of community. So you do run into the same people over and over again. And if you're saying hi and you're friendly and saying hi to people, you'll generally run into the same people.
Yeah, so every ship except for the Oasis class ships from Royal Caribbean, the nighttime parties, most of them will be poolside. So it's so nice to have an outdoor party. It's so much more like, it's just a really nice vibe to party outdoors by the pool at night.
It was that's what really turned me into a fan of the Atlantis Gay Cruises. I did a complete 180 because I was so anxious and nervous before my first one. But there is something special about, I don't know, dancing to, I don't know, like Whitney Houston at 3 a.m. in the morning with just the stars under the sky.
It's so awesome. It's such a great experience. It's a little, we can describe to you like, oh yeah, just imagine you're on a ship and it's nighttime and there are lights and lasers and there's like Whitney Houston being blasted super loud and you're like out in the middle of the ocean with like no one else around. But like to actually be in that moment, it feels a lot more special than we can describe to you with words.
It really is. It's liberating on top of a very liberating experience anyways. Like It is you get the common, besides when you finish the cruise, the sea legs, which is when you feel like ships are moving on land. People get sad because it's like, oh, back to reality. It really is like, hey, I can't just say hi and smile to people on the street anymore because they're going to think you're fucking weird, or because everyone on a gay cruise is, okay, most people are going to be gay, or they know you're gay. There's no like judgment or like hiding. It's a very liberating experience in that way. Freeing. Yeah.
It's apparently, and that's probably like the one thing that I like most about the gay cruises. So think what you will about like the parties and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, you don't have to go to the parties. Like on these ships, there's lots of things to do besides the parties. So anything that the cruise line puts on any regular cruise that they have. So Royal Caribbean, like on a regular sailing, they have shows and they have like the casino and they have like bars and they have like singers, they have comedians. Like most of that stuff that the cruise line offers, like rock climbing or tennis or whatever, all that stuff, most of that stuff is running on the Atlantis cruises. But Atlantis also puts in like extra things. One of them are like the dance parties, but they also bring in like queer comedians, queer singers. A lot of times they bring in they always bring in extra DJs, but sometimes they bring in like a celebrity. Like it could be like Deborah Cox, or it could be Kathy Griffin just did one of the recent cruises.
We were lucky enough to see Olivia Newton-John before she passed away.
Yeah, oh my god, that one was so special.
That was on the big.
We just saw. So they bring in like celebrities whenever they can. Yeah. And it changes all the time. And they're starting to do EDM nights as well on a lot of the cruises, which I love. It's a little bit of a different, change from like the
Atlantis, Gareth Emery, Above and Beyond.
Yeah, so but they also have like queer comedians, singers, like pianists, like there's all these other shows as well. They've had drag queens on the ship as well, and they do like a show. So there's all these other things to do besides dancing. But if you don't want to party, and it's completely fine. Yeah, but like you said, my favorite thing is when you're on that gay cruise. Every 99% of the other passengers are like queer men.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not like in everyday life where like you see someone that you find attractive for whatever reason and it's like at a coffee shop or something and it's like, is that person gay?
Yeah.
On a gay cruise, they are gay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, if you see a passenger, like 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time, they're gay. So it already takes off, like, this is how straight people feel in normal everyday life. But
Yes.
straight people get to mostly rightly assume that everyone else around them is straight.
Yep.
But like on a gay cruise, we get to assume with like 99.9% accuracy that everyone else is queer.
Yep. And
Which is so great.
These neighbors that you're having a floating holiday with, like they're probably had similar experiences in terms of the homosexual experience. It's a sense of community and that you with strangers. It's very bizarre, but it is a very you just feel like you actually feel a community, and it's actually pretty rare in life. Maybe it's not rare, but there's only so many times where you're like, you know what, it's good to be gay. It feels, we're privileged. That's when I do feel the gay privilege. I'm like, this is cool. Like boring, quote unquote, boring straight people don't do this. This ain't a straight cruise, right? They're like, the staff are all like, most people are like, oh my god, like the girl, all the people are like, oh my god, you're such party animals.
Yeah.
You're all friendly. You don't complain at the restaurants, etc. So it's really, it's actually just really liberating. You do really feel nice.
And the other part of that is not only is like 99.9% of the passengers queer, but like 100% of the passengers are there to be on vacation. In everyday life, when you run into people, someone might be in a hurry to like go to work or like do this, but like everyone is on vacation. Therefore, everyone is in that vacation mode, and that makes everyone a lot easier to like just randomly talk to. Whether like you're in the line for like a slice of pizza or you're at one of these parties, like no matter how you run into people, they're also gay and they're on vacation, and it's not like they're in a hurry to like run an errand or do a chore or go to work or something. So everyone is a lot easier to talk to just randomly.
Well, actually, this might be a you thing, but I heard from my first cruise, I was sort of trying to get a vibe of what everyone else is feeling, and someone was like, "Oh, even the mean LA gays are nice on the boat." Is this true?
Is nice. Look, I think everyone, when we hang out together privately, we make a lot of jokes we talked about this today. When you joke around with close friends in private, you guys have your own kind of humor that other people might not get or might not be very PC.
Yep.
Right? So obviously, LA gays have a bit of a reputation, warranted or not, probably warranted, of being mean and plastic or whatever. But like, when you're on a ship, though, again, like everyone is, LA gays partially has that, they have their reputation because of being in LA. But when you're on a ship, you're not in LA.
Yep.
Right? It's kind of like everyone's guards and kind of comes down a little bit, but you're in a very different environment, both in terms of your physical surroundings and like all the people that are around you and the fact that you're on vacation.
I have actually like universally like seen universal acclaim for someone who has put effort into like a costume, for example, and it's an epic, amazing costume, and literally everyone were going past of all different ages, sizes, whatever, like, oh my god, that looks fucking amazing. Can I get a photo? You're amazing. You're incredible.
Yeah.
So it's for those who love, like for those who are seamstresses who love to dress up, who love costumes. This is like your chance to
in
wear
a way that you can't do except for Halloween.
Yeah. Yes. It's literally it's a gay Halloween for the entire week.
For the entire cruise.
And people have outfits just to like rock up to the buffet. It's crazy.
Oh yeah,
it's so crazy. So it's like if you're like one of those people who like to, I don't know, have a fashionista or whatever, and you just want to wear the most random shit, as long as you're paying respectful to the working staff of the cruise ship.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, no jock straps in a buffet, maybe.
Oh my God,
but anyways, that's a negative. But the rest of the stuff, it's like, yeah, like and people decorate their doors and have these crazy contraptions, and it's just cool. You could just walk up and down hallways and see people designing doors, and it's just creative.
Yeah.
Artistic, funny.
It's like a parallel universe.
It's so funny. It is so funny. It's great.
A parallel universe where gays are the norm, and we can break free from like all the straight heteronormative stereotypes.
The shit of the world. You really escape for like a week.
You literally escape for a week. When you board the ship is literally a different universe. It's a different planet.
It is a different planet, and it's just. Yeah, and you're weird because it's simultaneous. You're like, you go on the first day is really busy because you're boarding, getting through, stressed with packing, unpacking. And then like day 2 is the dog take a party. Yeah. But it's like, seems like you've been there forever. But something happens in day 5. Like, shit, white party's tomorrow.
But it's true, like the first day, even for us, we've been on like I think the January cruise would be like the 17th or 18th cruise or something. You've done more. You're 20 something cruises, I think.
Probably.
But the thing is, like, even for me, the first day boarding, because the cruise is such a different environment, even for people like us who've gone on many of them, that first day, we still have, at least I still have an adjustment period.
Yeah, for sure.
For between I board. Also, boarding is so hectic and it's just like getting your pass and your luggage and all that kind of stuff. It takes me like several hours between boarding. Even if we've set sail for like a little bit, like my head is still not in that state where like, oh, I'm on a gay cruise. It takes an adjustment. But it's still different.
Same. Once I unpack, the unpacking for me signifies, hey, you're on here now.
Yeah.
Like your costumes are made it, dude, everything is fine. And then I can sort of unwind. But then, and then it's weird. It's like simultaneous. It feels like forever. Because I do remember almost every cruise, day 2 or day 3. I'm like, dude, we only just boarded yesterday.
And then before you know it, it's like, oh my God, we have to get up in 2 days.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh my God, white party tomorrow. Like, it was so weird.
Once you get into it, like and you're having a good time, then it flies.
Yeah.
About like 2 or 3 days in, like 3 days in, midway, and then it starts flying.
And dude, like, what is the schedule even? It's there, but go do whatever the fuck you want.
You don't even, very soon you don't know what day of the week it is.
But then you go by the cruise compass. You're
you get the newsletter.
It's this night. It's the comedian night. It's the night of the comedy, or it's the night of the cabaret show, or it's like a white party night. And it's just your whole world changes because Monday to Friday doesn't happen anymore. Day 1, day 8 maybe, but you're just living in a whole different world. So dude, and talking about it now, I've only done one cruise this year, which was
We're psyching ourselves up for the next cruise.
I didn't mean to do it, but like,
no, it's fine. But you know, the thing is that only really shows like, we've been on a lot of them, but like we keep going back because we really do find it to be such like a fun, enjoyable time of which we don't see a parallel anywhere else.
Yeah, and I'm probably reaching like the average age of the cruise, like whatever. I would still go as an older person, and there's a lot of people who are older there.
There's a really big age range,
which
honestly.
Is amazing because
on the January cruise, like every time we've been on it, like there are people that are like early 20s, like 21 or like 25 or whatever, all the way up to people that are in like their 70s.
Bob, the original, was it Bob? Bob, the original Disney Imagineer? Anyways, but you literally see, particularly dog tag, I think, because you do see the ones who have literally fought in wars for the freedoms for us to do what we do. And they are there like looking, not dancing like crazy in the middle of the dance floor, but they're standing around the sides and looking down.
Yeah, they're checking things out. They're still having a good time.
But when you speak to them, it's like, they're like, oh, well, we fought for this. So it's like just super grateful. So it's a really nice feeling, especially the dog tag tea dance, because I think it's like a nice way to, I mean, people just wear like military stuff, but there's a side level where it's like the people who've actually fought in wars to fight for freedoms.
Yep.
Is why we can dance in a jockstrap and a harness in the middle of the dance floor.
Yeah, correct. I mean, I think it's easy for people to think, like, especially the party cruise, because that kind of has a little bit of reputation on its own. That's like the most popular one.
Yeah.
People look at it and be like, oh, it's just like gays on drugs, just dancing and fucking.
Yeah.
It's not, if you want it to be like that, it could be. But like, that is such like a narrow view of the cruise. That,
well, the thing is,
what
like people like fucking and dancing and partying, like that happens everywhere all the time anyways. But what doesn't happen all the time...
That's like every gay bar.
But what doesn't happen everywhere and all the time is the sense of like shared community.
The community, yeah.
And that's my reason why I'm like, okay, well, it's not just another dance. And that's why when people ask me what great parties or cruises, the cruises are a separate entity. I cannot... equate them with a quote-unquote party experience. It just doesn't compare.
On land. Yeah.
It does not compare. The cruise is a separate entity. You can ask me to rank my cruises, but you can't rank me because a cruise and a party for me is not the same.
It's like apples to like...
Yeah, not the same.
It's apples to broccoli. It's just completely different.
Are they both fruit?
No. One's a vegetable. David doesn't get it because
I like apples.
He only eats McDonald's.
No, but apple pie.
Chips.
Apple pie. Ah, chips.
Those are my chips. Don't stop looking at those chips.
But apples. But you can't make broccoli pie, right? There's no such thing as broccoli pie.
I guess you could if you wanted to.
That's fucking gross.
You puree some broccoli. No.
Gross.
All right. With that, we'll sign out. So say bye, David.
From his off, but something's me.
Oh my God. Bye.
Bye.